What I want to try to do is, we've talked a little bit about getting into the groove and how important that is for a street band, especially because since we don't have a conductor and we're not kind of sitting in one place, we all need to be listening and watching each other and kind of moving as one. And what really helps with that is feeling the groove of each song. Each song has a certain kind of rhythm, a certain kind of bounce to it. And I want to give a sense of what those sound like and how they sound like in contrast with each other. So I thought maybe we would have our percussion section take up the drums, and the rest of us would stay in a circle, and we're going to try a simple step back in the room. First to rock anthem, to the rock anthem. So when we think about a groove, what do you think makes up a particular groove song? What makes a groove, do you think? Any ideas?
Feeling.
What's that?
I said feeling.
It's a feeling. It is a feeling. It's a certain kind of feeling of movement. What do you think makes a groove different for one song versus another song? Any ideas? The flow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Notes. Okay. Beat. Really important in establishing a groove. It's not the only thing, but it's a very important thing. A beat is like the regular pulse of the song. If we're in 4/4 time, the beat would be 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. Rhythm also. So Jordan just mentioned rhythm. What's the difference between rhythm and beat? In the case of many of our songs, the rhythm is actually done as much by the tuba as by the percussion. And what we're going to do today is we're going to hear the difference between 3 different grooves that have the same 4/4 beat, but different rhythm. Let's give it a try. So let's get our ba-da-da-da-da-da, and we're going to, let's break this way since I've got a little space here. We're going to watch me. Let's go. Any thoughts on how that feels differently for you? Each of those three different grooves? Yes.
Ghostbusters and HONK Anthem.
Uh-huh.
HONK Anthem is kind of slower.
So everyone can hear.
It's kind of slower than Ghostbusters sounds because it's just not very.
So it seems slower, but actually we were stepping and snapping or clapping at the same actual tempo. But I agree, it sounded slower. Any idea how else you might characterize that difference where Rock Anthem as opposed to, let's say, Ghostbusters?
It was long.
Longer. How do you mean? You mean we played it longer, or what do you mean?
Nope. Oh, we played it.
But in terms of the feel, how else do you think? How else might you characterize the difference? Any idea? Rock Anthem is very regular, right? And it isn't as syncopated as the tuba line for Ghostbusters, which is like ba, 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 da. And that syncopation in Ghostbusters gives it a little bit of a lighter feel. Maybe you feel a little bit more inclined to kind of bounce around and move your hips. And it can seem like it's faster. But one of the things I wanted us to see here is that actually, in terms of the tempo and in terms of the downbeat and the upbeat, they're pretty much the same. It's a feeling that's different. How about the third bass line? Does everyone know where that third bass line is from? It's the song we're going to learn today. Jordan knew it. Anyone else? Anybody else know how to read?
Billie
Does everyone know the song Billie Jean?
No.
Put your hand up if you know the song Billie Jean. All right. How did that sound in terms of a groove? It's like a very steady rock beat. We might be able to pull it up for snack time today. But the beginning of Billie Jean is, it's like you're sure it's some 70s rock band starting. And then 2 bars in comes that tune. How does that feel compared to the other two, do you think?
It's
However you might describe it. Any thoughts?
awesome.
Awesome. Jordan says awesome. Anyone else have about the difference in the feel? Anybody?
Sing.
Very regular.
Extremely regular. It's the most regular, right? It's just the poor tuba players are playing just quarter notes. I won't say poor, it's actually the funnest part of the song, but every note
drums,
is
that would
exactly
sound
the
like-
same length.
Just on drums, that would sound like.
Exactly. Every single note is exactly the same length. There's no swing to it, there's no syncopation to it.
Something I noticed just since I wasn't actually clapping and walking around, I was just like playing these different lines, is that like even though I knew that you guys were keeping on doing the same thing, it felt like you were clapping on different beats, like relative to what I was playing. So like I was trying to kind of like clap along or like tap my sousaphone, and it, even though you were still always clapping on like 2 and 4 or like whatever it was, like depending on when I played, the clap sounded really different, like it was emphasizing. Like it was like, now this one is important, but then I'd switch bass lines and it'd be like, it's actually the same beat, but now it feels like something else is important.
Anyone else have observations or thoughts about the difference between those grooves? Or what's going through your mind when you hear those grooves? Okay, take that as a no. Yes,
It
Sam.
sounds like it's kind of like more. It's kind of louder, or it's not really louder. It's more lower pitch. At the end, where it's like to last part.
So there's a kind of doom, 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 doom. It's kind of a little hiccup. Did you guys listen to the difference in what the drums were doing relative to what the tuba was doing? I don't know if Petey wants to talk a little bit about how you guys were changing it up.
For that exercise, we didn't change.
You just kept it. So as a kind of skeleton beat and rhythm, or as the beat rather, was the same, and we just switched up the tuba. But we'll find that when we play it as a band, for each of those songs, the percussion section will have other parts that they will add to that same square rock beat. But does everyone understand that it's kind of the same down, up, rock beat? Other things change. And that means that whenever we're playing and you're hearing that in any of these songs, you should be able to naturally find a step, clap, step, clap. A lot of times when street band starts playing, it's usually just the tuba, and then like we do in warm-up here today, we will kind of get into the vamp. We'll start vamping on the intro to the song for a while before we actually start playing. What you'll find in street bands is a lot of the time when horn players aren't playing yet at the beginning of the song, they will start clapping on the offbeat, in part to get the audience to do that, so that the audience will become part of our percussion section, and then we can continue playing the song. But it's really helpful to be able to spot that all-important upbeat in all those songs. Great.